Okay, what's up, guys? This video is long overdue. Okay, a lot of you saw my last video where I kind of broke this fight down before they announced the fight. Okay, I made this probably early in the summer sometime. Okay, I made that video. If you haven't seen it, you could go check it out. It was not that far back. Okay, in that video though, I broke the fight down. And I expressed to you guys how much of a mismatch I thought it was, okay? Not trying to discredit Rigondeaux in any way, okay? But I just thought that the fight was a mismatch. I know he is a pound for pound. At least I consider him to be a pound for pound fighter. I just didn't think this matchup was a good matchup for him, a good fight for him, and I didn't want to see the fight. I even went as far as saying that I hope the fight doesn't happen because I thought this fight was a form of desperation. And I still believe that. Like right now, I still believe that Rigondeaux is backed into a corner, whereas he's been fighting at 122, all right, all this time. All of the other guys at 122 didn't avoided him. They never fought him. You know, the guys, the Frantons, the Santa Cruzes, you know, all of those guys at 122, none of them fought him. You know, Donaire was the only one to fight him back then, and we saw what happened in that fight, okay? None of the other top fighters at 122 gave him a shot, okay? Now, we're all the way almost in 2018, okay? Rigondeaux is much older now, okay? And he still never really was that active, okay? He went in long periods where he didn't have any fights. And, you know, the quality of the opponents never really stepped up, okay? He fought some decent guys, but, you know, he got pretty much whatever he can get because, honestly, it's not his fault. I've made videos over the years talking about his management and all this other kind of, all the politics related stuff. I've spoke on many of those things, as far as, you know, what happened with Top Rank, HBO, and everything. But this video is not really about that. It's unfair. I'm just bringing this up and refreshing you guys that it's unfair on what has happened with him in his career. He's such a great talent, and most still see him as a top 10 pound for pound fighter, even in top 5, baby. Regardless of his inactivity, all right? But this fight here, he's fighting a guy at 130. You know, I remember when I made this video earlier, I said, you know, maybe that they agreed to fight in the middle, you know, fight at 126 where Lomachenko will come down, Rigo will go up a little bit, you know, because we all know that Rigo is pretty much a small guy at 122. I don't think I've ever seen Rigo fought a guy that was smaller than him. I think that bare minimum he might have fought maybe 1 or 2 guys that was equally his size. I don't think I've ever seen him fight anyone that was actually smaller than him in his professional career. You know, but now he's fighting Lomachenko at 130, and I really believe that this is an act of desperation. You know, I just don't. I think, you know, as far as the technical skills, this is what Rigo has in his favor here, or could have. Neither one of these fighters, at least in their professional career, has fought anyone near this level as far as technical boxing ability. Okay, neither one of them has fought anyone on this level. So we can all agree to that. Okay? So there is a possibility here that Rigondeaux can actually throw off Lomachenko's game in this fight. You know, we all know that Rigo is a great outside fighter. He has a lot of power in his left. Even for a small guy, he's breaking dudes' jaws. He's knocking guys out. He has a very, very powerful, strong left hand. All right, straight left hand. We know that, okay? He's a great long-range fighter, all right? And he has great legs, seriously, all right? Great reflexes. We already know all of that, all right? I've addressed all of that stuff. So maybe with his style, he can find a way to throw off Lomachenko, okay? He has long arms. So if he can stay on the outside and outbox Lomachenko and never allow Lomachenko to get on the inside of him, there's a possibility that he can outpoint Lomachenko throughout this fight. All right? I don't think that's going to happen. Okay? I think Lomachenko is just too versatile. You know, I think he's just too versatile. And not only can he can fight on the inside, and he always finds ways of getting on the inside of his opponents if he chooses to. If he chooses to. He can outbox you from the outside. He could go inside up on you with his hands down and miss. Now, do I think he could do that to Rigo and just toy with Rigo like the way he's been doing with Mariaga and Sosa and Nicholas Waters and all these other fighters? No, you know, and I don't think he's going to take that approach. I think he knows that he's fighting one of the other greatest amateur fighters of all time. You know, these two are arguably the two best amateur fighters of all time. Okay? So I don't think he's going to go into this fight looking to toy with Rigo unless he is winning easily. And me personally, I think if Loma is consistently landing against Rigo, I don't think it's going to be like one of those fights where he's just beating up Rigo round after round and round. No, Rigo is a smaller guy. And a guy that, from what I've seen, and whenever he gets caught with a clean shot, he goes down. I don't think it's going to be a consistent, you know, round by round beatdown. You know, I think if anything, if somebody's winning round by round and landing round by round, it will be Rigo landed against Lomachenko. But I don't believe that Guillermo Rigondeaux is able to withstand multiple blows from Lomachenko without going down and possibly getting stopped. I don't believe there's just a huge size mismatch. I don't even think Rigo I think even when he walks around, he's about 126 maybe, you know. The guy's just a small guy. And Lomachenko is not even being forced to cut down because he's fighting. He has the weight advantage here. They're fighting at his weight class. And whatever way you're going with this fight, because now that the fight is scheduled, I'm seeing that a lot of people really believe that Guillermo Rigondeaux is going to win this fight, which is fair. That's fine. That's fine. That's cool. But everything just seems on paper, everything seems to be on Lomachenko's side here. I believe he's more of a versatile fighter. I mean, that's just my opinion, you know. But from what I've seen between the two of them, Rigo is great as, I mean, listen, both of these guys are great defensive fighters. You know, they do things differently. But Lomachenko is younger. He's fresher. He's more active. He's fought better fighters consistently throughout his career. Okay? They both don't have a lot of professional fights. But Lomachenko is very, very active compared to Rigo. Okay? He's younger. And he's consistently, these guys, Gary Russell, Lomachenko fought Gary Russell, fought, Salido, fighting Salido, Gary Russell, Walters, Sosa, Mariaga. You know, if you look at Rigo, Rigo fought random people. Let's be real. Outside of Donaire, these guys are just random guys. You know, Abeko was cool, but a lot of these guys were so intimidated by Rigo when they got in the ring with him, they didn't even try to win the fight. You know? Now, let's talk about both fighters at their worst. Well, at their worst, obviously, Lomachenko lost to Salido in his second professional fight. Okay? He lost to Salido. All right? We know he has Salido problems. We know that. I'm waiting for the rematch. You know, I want to see the rematch. I'm not going to get into that because, you know, I hear different things. I hear that it's, Salido's fault the rematch hasn't happened. You know, I don't know what's really going on behind that. But he lost to Salido, okay. But Rigo has been dropped by how many opponents? Wait, 3? All right. We know he hasn't lost a fight, but we all saw the Cordoba fight. We saw, Donaire, he clearly beat Donaire, but Donaire did drop him in that fight. That Japanese fighter did drop him in that fight too. I think he dropped him twice in that fight. You know, we've seen Rigo in stinkers. We've seen him go the 10 rounds, 12 rounds against fighters that he should have stopped, but he didn't. It was just a snooze fest. So we have one loss against a more than a good fighter versus a fighter that had multiple fights where he got knocked down, where he wasn't even fighting guys that is on a level than as the guys that Lomachenko has fought. And we're not going to try to downplay Lomachenko's opponents. We're not going to do that. Okay? Nicholas Walters, I know Walters quit and everything, but let's be real. When Nicholas Walters was undefeated not too long ago, okay, before the Sosa fight, before when he knocked out Donaire and what's the other guy that he knocked out, the smaller guy, Darchinian and all that. I remember when Walters was fighting at 122 and 126. And even back then, when there were rumors and people were talking about the fight possibly between Walters and Rigo, there were a lot of people, listen, I remember because we were talking about that. I know I was talking about maybe that fight happening here on YouTube. I remember reading comments. I remember people on social media saying that Walters would beat Rigo. This is back then. This is before the dude, we saw his flaws. You know, well, he lost to Lomachenko now, so we all think he's trash now. But I'm saying back then, you know, before he was missing weight and stuff like that, people thought a lot of Nicholas Walters. You know, Nicholas Walters is a dangerous fighter. It's just that he fought Lomachenko and got destroyed. Gary Russell Jr., look at all the success he's had since he lost that fight to Lomachenko. Okay? Sosa is a game fighter. He's a game fighter. You know, he did well. I mean, yeah, he lost fights. He lost to Lomachenko. He lost to Nicholas. Well, that was a draw, I think. That was a draw. A lot of people were, you know, upset about that decision. But he still did good against Walters. He gave Walters a great fight. You know? Sosa's a solid fighter. Sosa's a guy that we didn't think Gervonta Tank Davis should fight. You know? We can sit here and downplay Sosa now, but when Tank Davis was moving up to fight him, people were against that back then. You know, we were like, I don't think he should be fighting Sosa that early. Sosa's a good fighter. Mariaga's a good fighter. Mariaga's a guy that beat Walters in the amateurs, had a tough fight with him, a good fight, a competitive fight with him. These are good fighters that Lomachenko has been fighting regularly, you know, and he's looking just as dominant against these better opponents than Rigo is against these lower opponents. Not lower as in weight. I mean lower as in quality. Everything on paper is on Lomachenko's favor. In Lomachenko's favor. You know, and size is a big deal. Size is a big deal. Especially when you're fighting another extremely technical, gifted fighter like Lomachenko. He's not your everyday fighter. You know? This guy has super reflexes just like Rigo does, but it's like Floyd Mayweather going up to fight Roy Jones. You know what I'm saying? I know the gap is much bigger, but if Roy Jones was at 160 and Floyd is at 147, and Roy, you know, Floyd is going up to fight a 160 Roy Jones, it's like the chances of the winner is most likely to be Roy Jones. You might think Floyd is a little bit more skilled. Even if you were to think that, you can't forget that Roy Jones is still much bigger than him. You know, and he is an amazing athlete. You know, extremely gifted athlete. You know? Even if you don't think that's the best comparison, I'm just going off the top of the head with it, all right? But you get what I'm saying. I just don't think Rigo is going to win this fight. I think Rigo is going to get stopped in this fight. I give him credit for taking this fight. If he is to win this fight, if he is to beat Lomachenko, especially if he were to stop, let's just say he landed a shot so clean and so hard against Lomachenko and breaks his jaw or something crazy happens where they stop the fight, he's going to get huge credit for that. Huge. You know, I mean, yeah, he's still, you know, HBO might still curve him and, you know, all of this stuff with politics still might happen. But that would be a huge win, man. Like, huge. You know, anybody that we consider to be pound for pound right now, that would be a bigger win than all of these guys. A bigger win than all of these guys as far as Crawford, as far as Golovkin, as far as Canelo. If he were to win this fight, either by outpointing him easily or by knocking Lomachenko out or something crazy like that, that would be huge, man. It would be hard to even argue any other win recently, okay? I think that would be big for Rigondeaux. But as far as Lomachenko winning this fight, it is a big win. It would be a great win. I just hope people won't discredit him if he does win. Well, I think he will win. But I hope this guy doesn't lose credit for taking on Rigo and beating him. Let's not go and say, oh, the guy was 130, bullied him. No. Give the man his credit, you know. If he is to beat him, give him credit. And trust me, if Rigondeaux wins this fight, just like any other time that I'm wrong in a prediction, I will be the first one on here saying that, wow, I wasn't expecting that to happen. You know, I got that one wrong, just like any other prediction. But I have Lomachenko winning this fight. Yeah, I think strategically, Rigo has to find a way to slow down the pace. Okay, Rigo has to do something very early in order to gain respect from Lomachenko. Very early. He has to slow down the pace because Lomachenko is a high volume fighter. Okay, very technical, very defensive and everything. Good counterpuncher and everything. Great combinations. He needs to slow Lomachenko down. Okay. He needs to land something to let him know, like, look, I'm here. Okay? You're just not going to come in here and do whatever you want with me and have your way with me like you're used to having. That's what Rigondeaux needs to do. If he fails at doing that and if he fails to land clean against Lomachenko, if Lomachenko's defense is too much and Lomachenko is able to step inside and even predict even Guillermo Rigondeaux's punches, a guy that's extremely accurate. But Rigondeaux is extremely accurate against guys that he's not used to moving like the way Lomachenko does. And that's the issue that I have with this fight. You know, plus with all the size advantages and stuff like that. You're fighting against a guy that is usually a high volume puncher and extremely defensive, a good counterpuncher at that. You know, great legs too, very fast on his feet. Fast hands, okay? And Rigo likes a slow-paced fight, you know? He will explode at times. He will ambush you at times, you know, when he feels that he can take you out, when he has you hurt. But other than that, he's a very slow, low-volume fighter, okay? He will try to knock you out. He will. Don't get it twisted. But he needs to gain that respect from Lomachenko early. Okay, Lomachenko is not the guy that fought Salido. Okay, Salido fight, for some reason, if you go back and watch that fight now, you will notice that Lomachenko started off very, very slow. Okay, he's not really throwing much of anything. Okay, I don't know if that was fear of him. And even Salido in the early rounds, Salido wasn't even really he wasn't really doing much neither. You know, I don't know if it was a mental thing with Lomachenko. I don't know what it was, but Salido took advantage at some point after a few rounds. He started to take advantage of the fact that Lomachenko wasn't being active, okay? But since that fight, Lomachenko has come out in the very first two rounds, high value, all right? Throwing a lot of punches very early in the fight, you know? Rigo has to find a way to take that away early, very early. Throw this kid off early, okay? And neutralize him early, you know, make him feel the fear of just stepping in. Let this guy understand that he can't just come in here and disrespect you. But Lomachenko, the volume, you know, the youth he has, you know, the reflexes he has, he's going to want to come in. He's the bigger guy, and he's going to want to come in and have his weight with him. And these guys have, you know, they both have had some crazy camps. You know, I've been looking at the people that they've been sparring with. You know, if you've been following the news, both of these guys are going to have amazing training camps coming and leading into this fight. They both should be very, very prepared. It's just that I got to go with Loma. You know, he's had it tougher. Tougher fights consistently. More active. Okay, and Rigo has just been cruising. It's nothing that he's had to prepare for this fight. I mean, it's just nothing. It's easy wins over and over. And I know it's not his fault. I know he wants to fight the best. But the fact is, he hasn't fought nowhere near, even the top level fighters. He hasn't fought any of them, okay, since Donaire, all right? So anyway, those are my final thoughts on the fight. Make sure you guys leave comments, drop comments. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one, all right? Peace.